There is a reason why some men walk into a room and instantly command respect, while others, no matter how hard they try, are overlooked, ignored, or even laughed at. Respect is not something you can beg for. It is not something you can force, and it is certainly not something you can buy. Respect is earned, and it is earned through the way you carry yourself, the way you discipline your life, and most importantly, the way you value yourself. You see, many men today fall into a trap that destroys their power, their confidence, and their presence. That trap is chasing too much, chasing approval, chasing attention, and most of all, chasing people who don't value them back. When a man chases too much, he communicates one thing loud and clear, that he doesn't respect himself enough to let the world come to him, and that is how men lose respect. Before we go deeper, I want you to stop for a moment and imagine the version of yourself who no longer begs for validation, no longer spends sleepless nights worrying about whether someone likes you, no longer compromises your worth just to keep someone's attention. Imagine walking into the world with quiet confidence, where your energy speaks louder than words, where people feel your presence without you even trying. That version of you is not just possible, it is waiting for you to awaken it. But to get there, you must let go of the need to chase, because every time you chase too hard, you push away what you actually want to attract. That's why I say this clearly: subscribe our channel Next Gen Emotive, because here we remind you of the man you are meant to be, the man who doesn't beg for respect, but commands it naturally through action, discipline, and self-worth. Now let's talk about why chasing is such a dangerous habit. On the surface, it might feel harmless. You want someone's attention, so you text them, you call them, you bend over backward to show them how much you care. But beneath the surface, what you are really doing is teaching them that your time, your energy, and your presence have no boundary. And when there are no boundaries, there is no respect. People respect what they cannot easily have. They respect what is standards. They respect what values itself. So every time you overextend yourself, every time you chase someone who is running from you, every time you try to convince someone of your worth, you are silently telling them that your value depends on their approval. And that, my brothers, is the quickest way to lose respect. Respect, you see, comes from a place of strength, not desperation. A strong man does not beg to be chosen, he chooses himself. He does not run after what does not serve him. He invests his time into his purpose, his growth, his mission, and because of that, people naturally gravitate toward him. Think about the men you admire most in history, in business, in sports, in life. Were they desperate? Were they chasing people for validation? No, they were chasing their mission, their calling, their destiny. And because they were locked in on something greater, people were drawn to them. That is the paradox. When you stop chasing others, the right people start chasing you. But here's the hard truth many don't want to face. Chasing feels good in the short term, because it gives you a false sense of hope. You think, if I just try harder, if I just show them how much I care, if I just don't give up, maybe they'll finally see my worth. But what you're really doing is proving the opposite. You're showing them that you are willing to put them above yourself, that you are willing to sacrifice your peace just to keep them, that you are willing to tolerate being ignored or disrespected, as long as you get a little bit of attention. And when someone sees that you're willing to lower yourself, they will never put you on a pedestal. Respect doesn't grow in desperation, it dies there. Let me remind you of this truth. Your life is too valuable to be spent chasing people who don't see your worth. Your energy is too powerful to be wasted on those who treat you as an option. Every moment you spend begging for someone's approval is a moment you could have invested into building your strength, mastering your craft, improving your health, growing your wealth, and becoming a man that others admire. When you chase people, you drain your power. When you chase your purpose, you multiply it. Some of you watching this right now have been caught in the cycle of chasing for years. You've sent message after message with no reply. You've bent over backward to impress people who barely give you a second thought. You've tolerated disrespect, excuses, and half-hearted attention, hoping that one day they will change. But here's the question you need to ask yourself. Why are you fighting so hard for someone who isn't fighting for you? Why are you giving energy to people who wouldn't give half of that back? And most importantly, why are you placing your value in the hands of someone else, when you could be building it within yourself? The truth is, the chase is not about them, it's about you. It's about what you believe about yourself. If you believe you're not enough, you'll chase. If you believe your worth depends on someone else's validation, you'll chase. If you believe you need others to complete you, you'll chase. But the moment you understand that you are already whole, already worthy, already valuable, you stop chasing and start attracting. That is the shift that separates men who lose respect from men who command it. Now let's dig even deeper. What happens when you stop chasing? First, you gain clarity. You start to see who is really meant to be in your life, and who is just wasting your time. Second, you gain power. People start noticing that you don't run after them, and it forces them to evaluate their own actions. Third, you gain respect. Respect comes naturally to the man who knows his worth, and refuses to compromise it. And finally, you gain peace. The kind of peace that comes from no longer being a prisoner of someone else's opinion. But I get it, letting go of the chase is not easy. Society constantly tells men that we must prove ourselves to be worth. Movies, social media, and culture feed us the idea that persistence means chasing endlessly, that if you just don't give up, eventually they'll love you back. But let me tell you, persistence is a virtue only when it's directed toward your purpose, your dreams, your mission. Persistence in chasing someone who doesn't value you is not strength. It's weakness disguised as loyalty, and weakness never earns respect. The man who stops chasing doesn't stop caring, he simply redirects his energy. Instead of pouring it into people who don't value him, he pours it into becoming the strongest, smartest, most disciplined version of himself. He hits the gym, not to impress anyone else, but to sharpen his own edge. He studies, he works, he grinds, not to beg for recognition, but to build a life that commands recognition. And guess what happens? People notice, opportunities notice, the world notices, because the energy of a man who is focused on his mission is magnetic. Think about it like this. Imagine a fire burning in the wilderness. If you run around desperately trying to light other people's torches, you'll quickly burn out. But if you focus on building your own fire so big, so bright, so undeniable, people will naturally come to you to light their torches. That is the power of attraction over chasing. That is the power of respect over desperation. Now let me challenge you. What are you chasing right now that is draining your power? Is it someone who constantly ignores your worth? Is it friends who only call when they need some? Is it approval from a boss who will never truly value you? Whatever it is, I want you to understand this. Your value does not decrease because someone fails to see it. Your respect does not disappear because someone refuses to give it. You lose respect only when you refuse to give it to yourself first. Every time you say yes to things you don't want just to please others, you lose respect. Every time you lower your standards because you're afraid of being alone, you lose respect. Every time you compromise your values to be accepted, you lose respect. But every time you stand firm, every time you choose peace over desperation, every time you walk away from what doesn't honor you, you gain respect, not just from others, but from yourself. And let me tell you this. The greatest respect you will ever earn is not from other people, it is from the man you see in the mirror. When you can look yourself in the eye and know that you didn't sell yourself short, that you didn't beg for crumbs when you deserved a feast, that you didn't chase what was never meant to be yours, that is when you truly rise. That is when you become unshakable. That is when you stop being a boy and start becoming a man. Brothers, the world does not need more men chasing approval. The world needs more men chasing greatness. The world does not need more men begging for attention. The world needs more men building legacy. The world does not need more men losing themselves for people who don't care. The world needs more men who know their worth, who set the standard, who walk with dignity and strength. Be that man. So the next time you feel the urge to chase, ask yourself, is this chase aligned with my purpose? Is it building me, or is it draining me? Is it rooted in strength, or is it rooted in desperation? If it's not making you stronger, let it go. If it's not honoring your worth, walk away. If it's not aligned with your purpose, redirect your energy, because the man who learns to stop chasing is the man who finally learns how to win.